Hello, class of 2020, family, friends, administrators, the Board of School Trustees, teachers, and staff. I am Rashav Bhattacharjee, your salutatorian for the class of 2020. Before we begin our commencement ceremony, I invite all to rise and remove all hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may all be seated now.
We are all aware of the racial injustices that are occurring in our country. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rashad Brooks, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Elijah McClain, and unfortunately, it doesn't end there. These tragedies have been reoccurring for centuries, and it has taken America ages to publicly identify these issues. It's gotten to the point where brutal killings had to be recorded and broadcasted across the nation to get the attention that they deserve. Many believe that racism has recently resurfaced, but really, it has been forged into the economic, political, and social structures of America even before the abolishment of slavery. In other words, the structure of this country has evolved over time to systematically suppress the growth of African Americans. This is clearly shown by the disproportional trends within areas such as education, healthcare, housing, employment, and incarceration rates among Black communities in America. This all leads me to say that racism is a national crisis that this country has and continues to face. But before we can challenge the structure of our nation, we must first recognize the biases that occur within our own community.
Maybe you've become exhausted from experiencing or merely watching your family, friends, coworkers, or classmates be continuously tormented by a racially inequitable system that is often dismissed. To some, these events are absolutely devastating, but to others, just another misfortune. Some have experienced it, some have witnessed it, and some have turned a blind eye. But maybe now you have decided that it's finally the time to take effective action. However, it is hard to change the world without knowing it first. Without understanding America's racial history, we are not able to fully create the necessary changes needed in our nation. So, educate yourself. Once you have the desire to make an impact on the Black community, you must come to terms with the value of knowledge in hopes of creating substantial and effective change. There are a variety of documentaries, books, podcasts, and people willing to help you learn what has been concealed from our textbooks all these years. The racial history of America must never be overlooked. Instead, we must learn from it and the sustained effects it has had on the Black population. Now, a vital approach that must be taken throughout this educational process is recognizing and understanding the biases that you hold, and to be transparent enough to question these. Privilege and ignorance can blind you to the issues that haunt Black people every day in this country, and oftentimes it is easy to dismiss an existing racially biased mindset. It is only when we hold ourselves accountable for our own biases that we can start to modify our behaviors and work to create real changes in our city and in our nation.
The City of Fishers takes pride in welcoming people of color in the hopes of creating a more diverse community. But diversity alone does not make our community inclusive or equitable. We even see this here at HSC. Students create and gather under safe spaces to compensate for the lack of representation that we experience in the classroom, the hallways, even amongst our own friend groups at times. It can be damaging to only hear about your own history when referring to slavery or the civil rights movement as if they are the only things that define Black history. It can be disappointing at times, being the only person of color in one of your advanced courses, knowing that many were discouraged because they weren't deemed capable. It can be upsetting to participate in class, perform well, and still be referred to as just the Black kid by all of your peers, as if your skin color wasn't as important as your name. We need to build up the courage to take action and demand change so we can create the inclusive community that we seek. Being neutral is not an option. To say that you don't see color is to say that you don't see or recognize our oppression, injustices, or the impediments that we are forced to face every day. Martin Luther King Jr. once spoke about the dangers of acquiescence, which is the act of accepting something without opposition. Please know that acquiescence on the issue of racism is just as harmful as actively participating in racism. The Black Lives Matter movement gives African Americans a fighting chance against the powerful and deliberate systems that work against us. Human rights in their entirety are at risk. To protect them, you must educate yourselves and take action in your local government. You can do this by voting and organizing in your own communities.
And remember, you can also start small by striving to create social change in your workplace, homes, or even school. Any place where you have a voice, use it. It is up to us now to combat racism in any form, no matter how big or small. However, we need more than social media attention. You can say you support the Black Lives Matter movement, but if you aren't demanding justice and striving for equality, your support will never suffice. It is essentially a question of ethics. We all need to contribute our time, our voices, and especially our energy because this fight is exhausting. But with an issue as big as racism, you need to ask yourself, how much am I really willing to sacrifice?
Greetings, respected guests and members of the community, staff, family, friends, and fellow graduates. I am Charms Patel, HSE Class of 2020 Valedictorian. It is an absolute honor to be standing here representing the HSE graduating class of 2020. On behalf of the graduates, I would like to thank you for joining us on this auspicious occasion. Graduates, congratulations on your graduation. This is a major step in the journey of our lives, one that should be remembered for its immense significance. But graduation is not an end goal in itself. It is instead a part of the larger journey of life. All the accomplishments we achieve during its course should be the starting points for greater achievements. Our graduation should be such a launching point, projecting us to whatever heights we want to achieve in life. But before we can reach for the stars, there's one more personal milestone that we all need to reach. Most people who graduate high school have only experienced one graduation, that of high school. But we all have one more ahead of us. We've already shown our commitment to personal growth through making it to the ceremony today. But soon we'll experience this again as we journey into our adult life, whether that's college, vocational school, the military, or even a gap year. As I said before, life is an ongoing journey. We don't stop growing once we get our diplomas. Life is about growing, and we have a new opportunity every single day to continue growing and challenging ourselves. I know we're going through a tough time as a nation, and there are too many uncertainties surrounding our future. But remember, globally, millions of students like us are going through the same thing. And I promise you, the 12 years of hard work, countless hours spent studying, practicing for sports, staying after school for activities have not been wasted. A few months of COVID-19 will not define our future. What will define our future is how we use what we've learned to create a lasting change in the world and for the people around us. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be." As we approach the closure of our high school years, I challenge you to focus on all the positive things that lie ahead of you and commit to a successful future. Now go, celebrate and use your talents to make the world what you want it to be. Thank you.
Teachers, parents, family, and the class of 2020, congratulations, we have finally made it. After lots of planning and postponing, the commencement ceremony for the class of 2020 is finally here. In my speech, I've decided to steer away from the topic of COVID-19 because I believe we, as a class, should be remembered by much more. We as a class must make the decision to not let these unfortunate events define the past 4 years of our lives, but rather let the past 4 years of triumphs and successes be the things we are remembered by. Having grown up and now graduating in the racing capital of the world, it's only fair to give future advice surrounding the metaphorical tracks of our lives. Life is like the Indy 500, and sometimes, in order to win, it's not about being the fastest. Some people start their lives in pole position, while others start on the bubble. But where you start rarely dictates where you'll end up. That power is in the hands of the driver. We're all born into different lives, but it's what we do while we are in that position that affects the outcome. In life, it doesn't matter where you start, but rather where you finish and how far you've come. While some people have faster cars, others have slower ones, but are able to keep up because they drive in the slipstream of other faster cars. The same is true when it comes to life. The people you surround yourself with throughout your life influence your decisions and your perspective on life. When you amass yourself with people who challenge you and see things through different lenses, chances are you'll emerge a more successful and well-rounded individual. But regardless of the speed of your car, in life, no one wins without a pit crew. In order to be successful, you need a team every step of the way. What a team looks like may differ from person to person, but a support network is essential in every aspect of becoming the best version you can possibly be. Make sure you thank your pit crew because more likely than not, you wouldn't be here today without them. It is also necessary to note that the winner is crowned at the end of the race and not the beginning. There are many events throughout the race that may cause you pain, but it's important to keep your eyes on the checkered flag. People may label you, assume things about you, and even judge you when you are young, but we have our whole lives ahead of us to prove those people wrong. We must use the years while we are young to plan, learn, develop, and grow into the best versions of ourselves. There's no need to rush on becoming who you are meant to be. In life, you'll win hundreds of times, and you will lose thousands of times. When you lose, make sure to look at your surroundings. Observe who's around you to build you back up and push you to be a better version of yourself. But learn from those losses. Learn to make yourself more of a resilient person. A common misconception is that life is one long race, when in reality, it's a mixture of races, each one intersecting with the next. Finally, the race will give you unexpected obstacles. Life will give you many challenges, but it is how you react and overcome those challenges that determine how successful you will be in the future. So while life is all about finding your groove on the track, it is important to learn from the barriers you come across so you can emerge as a stronger and more well-rounded individual. So while this virus may have stolen parts of our senior year, it cannot and will not steal our future. If there's one thing that I've learned from growing up in the racing capital, it's that you can't experience things in life and drive your car when you're too focused on what's in the rearview mirror. Our greatest achievements in life are waiting just ahead. So to the class of 2020, your practice laps are over. Ladies and gentlemen of Hamilton Southeastern High School, start your engines.
Hello, I am Janet Pritchett, Vice President of the Hamilton Southeastern Board of School Trustees. On behalf of the school board, I've been asked to say a few words. Well, here we are. Finally, graduation day. I think we can all agree that the process getting us to this day has been an interesting one. And although absolutely nothing has gone to plan, you all have handled the changes and adjustments with an extreme amount of grace. As the mother of a 2020 Fishers High School graduate, I can honestly say that it seems like just a few years ago, you all were kindergartners starting your journey. Whether you joined the district in kindergarten like my son, or stepped in along the way, I know that you all are an amazing group of young people. The mission statement for our school district states that we want our graduates to become responsible citizens and to positively influence an ever-changing world. I can't imagine a class who is better prepared to do just that. You're the ones who studied hard and succeeded despite a global pandemic. You were the ones who stood up against injustices. Many of you continued from home and combined with schoolwork to create great art and music or to train for your sport, not knowing when or if you'd be able to put that practice to use. In short, you admirably refused to let the uncertainty of the future stop you from following your dreams. And needless to say, you have far exceeded our expectations. All of you showed us what proud to be a Royal really means. Congratulations and best wishes to the class of 2020.
Good afternoon, graduates, parents, family members, and guests of the class of 2020. My name is Janie Ulmer, and I'm the proud principal of Hamilton Southeastern High School. Dr. Borf, members of the Hamilton Southeastern Board of School Trustees, and members of the Hamilton Southeastern faculty, as principal of Hamilton Southeastern High School, I hereby certify that the members of the class of 2020 who are in good standing and who have met all requirements established by the state of Indiana, as well as those of Hamilton Southeastern schools, will be awarded diplomas and declared graduates of Hamilton Southeastern High School.
Students of the Hamilton Southeastern High School class of 2020, what a pleasure it will be to witness your efforts to distinguish yourselves as thought leaders, change agents, and citizens of this nation and of the world. By the authority granted me by the state of Indiana and the Board of Trustees of the Hamilton Southeastern Schools, I confer upon each of you the status of high school graduate with all the rights and privileges thereto appertaining. Congratulations.
Class of 2020. Wow, let's make some noise. Congratulations, my friends. Now that we have our caps, our gowns, and our diplomas in hand, we can just sit back, relax, and enjoy, because we've made it, right? Wrong. This is only the end of the beginning, and we have our whole lives ahead. We've just started. Everything has been defined for us so far, and now it's time to take the cards that we've been dealt and play them back the way that we choose. We create the future. So picture in your mind the world in 10 years that you want to live in, that you want your family to live in, that you want your kids to live in. Raise a fist with me for a life of meaningful relationships, a life of dedication, a life of hard work, of perseverance, and a life of success. Now take your hand, grab the tassel from the right side, and flip it over to the left. Congratulations, class of 2020. We made it.
Congratulations, graduates, and best wishes for a wonderful future. It has been an honor to preside over this ceremony as your principal, and as always, it is a great day to be a Royal.